Hi VC, it's Aaron, Mutha Elimer, and today I'm here with kind of a special video here, and me and my good friend Josh were talking and texting back and forth saying just how amazing it is, all the vinyl reissues of Grails we thought we'd never get that have been released in the last year or two. And I got a bunch of them lined up here that were all-time Grails of mine that I never thought I'd find on vinyl, and it's really cool when they reissue albums like that. You know, ones you just think you're never going to find. And we got talking, and pretty soon we were just naming bands and albums back and forth. And we were like, oh, we should do a video on this. Josh had the idea first, and then I was like, yeah, we should maybe do it together. And we had some problems with that. So we're doing a two-parter with him doing the first part and me doing the second part. And when we were doing this, we both wrote down lists, and they were like 2 pages long. What I did is I went through and I combined all the ones we had similar into one list, and then the ones we had separately. So I'm doing my separate list, and he's doing his separate list, and we're kind of splitting the ones we both had. So, it's just, this is like the best time for vinyl record lovers because of all the new reissues. I mean, it's really cool to find an original, but sometimes they're hundreds of dollars for some of these records, and it's just so cool when they reissue them. I just love it. And, I'm excited here. I got a bunch here that I'm just dying to see, and we're going to kind of go back a year later and see which of these got reissued. And that should be interesting to see how many of these actually got a reissue. Now, I'm going to show all the ones I can on cassette or CD, and I have one on vinyl, but there's a reason I have that. And I'll show them, and a couple I'll just talk about. But I think he's going to try to, I don't know, he'll do his a little differently. And hopefully this will turn out good. So first up, now this one here, I don't think we'll ever get a reissue because it's so obscure. This is I Napoleon. Very unique band. They only had the one album, and it's one of my all-time favorites, and I really would love to find this on vinyl. I think it had one issue somewhere over in Europe, and it's super hard to find, but I doubt this will ever be reissued, but we'll see. That'd be cool if that was. My next one, and this is two by this band, one of my favorites. I've been looking for the debut forever. I know some people in the VC have it, and I think they should do both of their albums. Every Mother's Nightmare. One of my very favorite of the era that this was out. Very raw metal. It's I say metal. When I say metal, I'm talking about metal from back then, what people called metal back then. People call it hard rock now. I still call it metal. But this is Every Mother's Nightmare, one of my favorite albums ever. And it's got Love Can Make You Blind was a single. That was a slow song, but all the rest of the stuff's really hard rocking, and I love this album. One of my very favorites. And then their follow-up also, Wake Up Screaming, which is an amazing record here too. Both of them are so good. They need to issue both of these on vinyl, reissue them, whatever. I don't know if this has ever been on vinyl. I don't think so. They're second. And it's just chock full of good songs too. Every song's good on it. And we're just actually focusing on hard rock and metal from mainly the 80s, a little 90s mixed in. But that's just what we're focusing on here. Up next, we've got McQueen Street. I would love to see an issue of this. I have one friend in the VC that I know has it. I've been looking for it for years on vinyl. Can't find it. Amazing band. I love this album, McQueen Street. And I think the Every Mother's Nightmare, going back to them, they might get a reissue, especially the first one. This one here is slightly possible, but I doubt it because it was kind of an obscure album even when it was out. But this is a great album. It's, all these are in that same vein. And then I'd like to actually see all the albums from this band released. And this is Love and War from Lily and Axe. Love this album. This is my favorite Lily and Axe album. I love this one. I have their debut on vinyl. It'd be cool to get that one as well. But this one here is a special record to me. I just absolutely love it. It's not a concept record, but almost has that feel to it where it kind of has a flow of a story in a way. And I really love this one. Along with also this album, which is an amazing one, almost as good, Poetic Justice from Lily and Axe. Amazing album. They need to reissue these. And I think these might have a good chance of being reissued, the Lily and Axe ones, because they kind of were known. They had a few albums, so it's possible they could reissue these. Up next, there's 2 albums by this band, and this one here especially, Widowmaker with Blood and Bullets. This is Dee Snider's band right after he left Twisted Sister. and it's got Al Pitrelli on guitar, and this to me is one of the top 2 or 3 albums that Dee Snider has ever done, including The Twisted Sister, his solo. I absolutely love this record. It's amazing. It's never been issued on vinyl. I made the mistake back in the back about 25 years ago. I tried to order it from my record store, say I need that Widowmaker on vinyl. So they ordered it, and it ended up being the older band from the 70s, Widowmaker, and that made me discover them, which was really cool too. But this album and Stand By for Pain, their follow-up to this, both need to be issued on vinyl. I don't think they ever were. This is an amazing record. Man, I can't tell you how much I love Blood and Bullets. It's an amazing album. Up next, this is kind of an obscure band. And the Widowmakers, they have a slight chance. I don't think they will, but they have a chance. This one here, I think has a very small chance of being reissued. This is Child's Play with Rat Race. And this is an amazing one-off band. Love this album. The song, My Bottle, many of my friends used to sing along to that. It's kind of a slower song that picks up, but it's so good. And every song on this is good. I love this album. I've always loved Child's Play, Rat Race. I'd love to see that issued on vinyl. And up next, I only have the EP here. I'd really love to see Child's Play. I think has very little chance. These have a good chance of being reissued. Actually, probably not. They probably don't because of something I'll talk about. This is Kick Tracy with Field Trip. This has never been issued on vinyl, except they kind of did a re-recording of this and their album No Rules, which I think both should be reissued. But since they re-recorded and put them there, there might be some legal problems with getting the actual albums out. And those reissues, when they re-record them, are actually really good. They're just not quite the originals. And I would love to see Field Trip, especially, and the album No Rules, both by Kick Tracy, both amazing. Love that band, love those albums. This one here, I think, has a 0% chance of being reissued, but I really, really want it. That's Nonfiction with In the Know. Kind of an obscure band even when they were out. Love this album. You know, it's almost a psychedelic, hard rock, and almost progressive at times. Very good album. They came from another band, and this is just a great, great album. And I really wish they'd reissue this. One of my all-time favorites, Nonfiction, In the Know. And they really could do this band's whole discography as well. But this one especially. This never got a vinyl release. This is the third Bullet Boys album, Zaza. And I saw them on tour for this, and it was really good. And this is an amazing album. You know, it's a little bit more commercial than the first two in a way, but it's still got great stuff like When Pigs Fly is one of my favorite Bullet Boys songs. And they should really reissue their whole catalog with their self-titled Freak Show and this, but especially this one because it never got a vinyl vinyl release at all, I don't think. So I would love to see Zaza on vinyl. And here's another band that they could do a few issues, and I think the Bullet Boys have a good chance. They might do a box set. That would be really cool, at least of those first 3 albums. This one here is a band I really love. This is Brother Kane, their debut. Love this album. I'd love to see this on vinyl. And they had like 2 albums after this, Wish Pool and Seeds, I think was the other one. But this one here especially really needs a vinyl issue. It's one of the bluesy, hard rocking albums that came out in the early 90s. Killer album, love it, Brother Kane. Used to listen to that to death, and I really wish they'd reissue that. This one here is the second album by this, and this one's really hard to find on vinyl. This is Tangled in Rains from Steelheart, their second album. And the first album could be reissued as well. That'd be cool. But especially Tangled in Rains, because you never see this one. And the singer of Steelheart has such an amazing voice, so killer. And, you know, this is a great album. They really need to reissue that too. And that's got a slight chance of being reissued, I think. This one here, I don't know if this has a chance at all of being reissued. And my tape is coming out. I gotta wind it up here. Hate it when they do that. Okay, it's fixed. Think about those cassettes. But this here is Tora Tora with Wild America. Amazing follow-up to their debut. And their debut can be reissued as well. But this one here, man, I've been hunting for this forever on vinyl. I know one person from VC that has it, JC in Miami. I know, man, you got all these amazing ones that I'm looking for. But, you know, this has got Amnesia on it and Faith Healer. And it's just an amazing, bluesy, hard-rocking album that's so good. Wild America, that title song is so killer, too. Really need Wild America on vinyl. And then this band here, actually, that album right there was one of my biggest grails, The Lizard from Saigon Kick. But then we also got Water, their third album, which might be their best. I don't know. I love The Lizard. I love their debut. Those two have been reissued, so I have a good feeling about this one getting reissued. And this is the third Saigon Kick album. It's a great record. They even do a really cool cover of Space Oddity, the David Bowie song. And it's an amazing version of that. But this album is killer all the way through. Amazing. Saigon Kick, Water needs a reissue. And then we really need this one. And this has never been issued on vinyl. This is the DLR band. That's David Lee Roth band. This one was after Your Filthy Little Mouth. Never got an issue on vinyl. It's actually one of my top 3 David Lee Roth albums. I love this album. It's, you know, it's almost Van Halen-ish at times. A little more modern at times too. It's got a little bit of record scratching and a couple little parts, but most of it sounds like old Van Halen, and it's just an amazing record. DLR band. Really would love to see an issue of that. And then this is probably my biggest grail ever that I have left, and this is Circus of Power with Magic and Madness, their third album. Absolutely love this record. It's got guest spots from Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains. He does a song with them, does the guitar and backing vocals on Heaven and Hell. And Ian Astbury from The Cult does backing vocals on Shine. Amazing album. It's kind of grunge-ish, heavy metal, but they did it very well, and this is their best album, I think, and I love this band. Never seen it on vinyl. I don't think it's ever been on vinyl. Magic and Madness from Circus of Power. Need it. And then I'm going to go to this band, and this is a one-off band. Absolutely love Wild Boys Unleashed. This is so good. They really need to issue this on vinyl. I would buy it in a second. Absolutely love this band. Kind of think Tough and Poison, but a little bit, I don't know, a little different. This band is so good. They have a great singer, infectious songs. I've listened to this so much. We used to sing along to this whole album, me and my friends. It's a really good one, and I'd really love to see that on vinyl. Along with this, which that one has a very little chance of being issued. This one probably will be reissued at one point because it has a kind of a cult following. It's Wildside with Under the Influence. Saw them on tour for this, and they were amazing, and this is an amazing record. I can't believe it never got issued on vinyl. I don't know. It might have a vinyl issue somewhere in Europe, but if it does, it's hundreds of dollars. Very hard to find. They really need a reissue. You know, Hang On Lucy. Every song's good on this. I love Latin Sin's one of my favorites. Heart and Soul. It's every song. This is an amazing record. Really needs a vinyl reissue. And then I'm going to go with Arcade 2. Both the Arcade albums need to get an issue. That's the Stephen Pearcy from Rat. That was his band after Rat. They took a break from Rat, and this is an amazing record. Both of them are really good. I love the Arcade albums. I only have this one, but they're both killer records. This is a great one here, Arcade 2, and I think both the Arcades need an issue. And in that same kind of vein, Joe Lestat from Bang Tango had Beautiful Creatures. And this is a great album. This has never been issued on vinyl. I'd love to see Beautiful Creatures. I think this has a slight chance of being reissued, and but I don't know. You never know, because some of these obscure bands that you're never thinking to get a reissue do, and it's really cool. Like I'm waiting for my Union records to come out. On one I didn't put up there, Life, Sex, and Death, which I never thought I'd have a reissue. They did, so you just never know. And then I'm going to go with this one, Dangerous Toys, the artist formerly known as. And this is kind of an album people either love or hate. I absolutely love this. It's maybe their heaviest thing they ever did. Some of their best Dangerous Toys songs are on this. Then they also have some that are kind of industrial sounding, kind of two different sounds on this album. And that threw a lot of people off. But I love this album. I really would love to have it on vinyl. And there's Dangerous Toys with the artist formerly known as. This one here, Bar 7, really needs a reissue or an issue on vinyl. This is Jeff Keith and Tommy Skeoch from Tesla. They went and did this one-off band, and this is a great album. It kind of sounds like Tesla. It sounds like it could have came out right after Bust a Nut, but it's an amazing record. I love Bar 7, and just killer stuff. They need an issue of that. And here, this is probably my biggest grail I have. You can get it on vinyl, but it's hundreds of dollars. They need to reissue it so I can get it. This is Saigon Kick with Second Coming. Amazing record, one of my all-time favorites. And this one I think has a pretty good shot at being reissued because, I listen to Sirius XM and Hair Nation. They play Heartbreak Boulevard on there all the time. So, it's kind of known, but this is a great album. Their second. They need to reissue all of theirs, their debut as well, and also Violet New Breathe, their industrial album, which was amazing. And this is a great one here, Second Coming. This here is another one of my all-time favorites, Strip Mind with What's in Your Mouth. I don't think this will ever get a reissue, although I wish it would. It's almost like a thrash, hardcore, heavy metal hybrid. And Sully Erna from Godsmack actually plays drums but does no vocals. And they have two different vocalists. So that's kind of crazy. Great album. Infectious. Amazing. Absolutely love What's in Your Mouth. And I really would love that on vinyl. And then we've got this band, and there's an era of this band that they haven't reissued. They've done their early stuff, they've done their late stuff, but they have not done a reissue of Countdown to Extinction or Euthanasia or Risk, which came after it. So they need to redo those. Well, I think Risk was maybe after Cryptic Writings. So, but those two especially, Euthanasia and Countdown to Extinction, I actually have picture discs of them, but I don't listen to them. They're hanging on my wall. I would love a regular actual album of them. It's really hard to find the OGs of them. They're really expensive. They need to reissue them. And I'm going to finish off with, of course, my favorite band. And these two albums have never been issued on vinyl. This is Transnational Speedway League from Clutch, their debut full-length album. Absolutely amazing album. It's got a Shogun named Marcus and Binge and Purge and El Jefe Speaks and Rats. It's full of great stuff. And it's never been issued on vinyl. I really need that, along with one of my top 3 Clutch records, Pure Rock Fury, and it's a toss-up for me, Pure Rock Fury, Blast Tyrant, and the Elephant Riders for my favorite Clutch. It's like they're all tied for number 1. But this here, amazing record, needs a vinyl issue, and they really need to reissue Elephant Riders on vinyl. This one even is really hard to find. They did it about 5 or 6 years ago. The sound quality could be a little better. They need to remix it and redo it very so killer. I still listen to this a lot because it's so good. But Elephant Riders, they really need to do that, a reissue of that, because no one has that album. I mean, very few people, and it's one of the top 2 or 3 Clutch albums. Most Clutch fans will tell you Elephant Riders is in the top 3. It's so good, and they really need to get some new fans into that one. And then also, I just have a few others I'll mention. Dirty Looks with 5 Easy Pieces. I love that one. That was never issued on vinyl. We got... let's see, that might be about all. I think I have the rest of them. Yep. Oh, 2 more. And also Love Hate with their whole first 3 could be with Blackout in the Red Room and Wasted in America. But Let's Rumble has never had a vinyl issue. That's a great album, the third one. And also there was a band called The Poor, which I loved. And they had an album called Who Cares? And that would be great to get on vinyl. So there you go. Everybody go watch Josh's. He did part 1. This is part 2. And maybe we'll do a couple more of these. Hopefully we'll do one together eventually like this. So everyone have a great day, and I will see you later. Thank you.